In this video, I want to introduce you to a natural finishing technique called Tadelakt. So let me spell this for you. Tadelakt actually comes from Morocco. It's an old Moroccan lime finish method, and it's kind of a rare finishing skill. At least in the United States, there's only a couple teachers that really teach it or know how to do it at an expert level. But there are ways to learn it if you want to. So I want to introduce you to this material or this finish because it has a lot of really interesting applications for cob and other earthen materials or natural building materials. So basically what Tadelakt is, it's a lime-based render or finish. You can put it on walls or any surface, and it's waterproof. So that's really what makes it special, is that it's waterproof. And you can finish showers, bathtubs, sinks, backsplashes. You can do floors even, but these waterproof applications really open up a lot of creativity, creative options. You could actually sculpt a bathtub out of cob, whatever shape you wanted, and then coat it in Tadelakt, and it would be waterproof. It could be used as a bathtub. And this Moroccan Tadelakt method was actually used in the old bathhouses of Morocco, and it was also used in the palaces. It's somewhat of a considered luxurious finish material, mostly because of the time and labor put into it. So the way you do Tadelakt, just to sum it up, is you have several layers of lime plaster on a surface. So if we took this tile, this is actually a Tadelakt tile, and I'll get a close-up of this later. You will notice the cracks. That's just part of this particular tile. But say you had a tile just like this. What you would do is you would put 4 coats of lime plaster, usually a type S lime, and each coat would be about 1/8 inch thick. So you'd put on 4 coats of lime plaster, and then the 4th coat you'd put on with a steel trowel, and you'd smooth it out, and then you start to polish it. So you have a polishing stone, and you just polish it. And you can spend a lot of time doing this, and this is why Tadelakt can be so expensive if you hire somebody to do it. That's why I recommend, if you want to do Tadelakt, learn how to do it yourself. It can be, I've heard it can be $30 to $40 per square foot if you hire somebody to do Tadelakt for you. So you have your base coats of lime plaster. You start to polish it in with your polishing stone, and it starts to shine up, and then you let it set a little bit more. And then what you do is you're going to take a black olive oil soap, and you're going to dilute it in water, and you're going to apply it onto the top. You can use a spray bottle, or you can just dab it on there. So then you want to polish that olive oil soap into the lime, and you just keep polishing and polishing, and it becomes more shiny, gives that kind of glistening look to it, and it starts to become very smooth. And that's actually creating that waterproof property of the Tadelakt. So the olive oil soap actually chemically reacts with the lime and creates what's called calcium stearate, and which is actually soap scum. Now it's really, you don't think of it like that, but it is technically soap scum, but it's clean, it's antibacterial, and you get Tadelakt, the waterproof lime finish, and it's beautiful. So this is actually was a piece of cob underneath here, and then Tadelakt was applied over it. And again, I'll get a close-up of this later as well. And the same process was applied. 4 coats lime plaster, about 1/8 inch thick, were applied on top of this round piece of cob, and it was polished. And then the olive oil soap was applied and continued to be polished. So you have a waterproof piece of cob right here. And the polishing stones, they need to be a certain hardness, and the Mohs hardness scale will tell you the hardness of stones, and you need the hardness to be between a 7 and 10 on the Mohs hardness scale. And you want to look for a flat surface, no chips. The best places to go are probably rock stores, or you can find therapy stones. They usually work pretty well. So find one that fits nicely in your hand and has a flat, smooth surface, and that you could polish with. So materials to create Tadelakt. Basically, you need the lime. Type S lime works the best from my experience. Then you need the aggregate, which is sand. Now you can use regular types of sand like you would use maybe for a cob or earthen plaster, like a masonry sand with sharp, rough edges. But the best thing, if you can find it, is limestone fines. Sometimes they're called different things in different locations, but limestone fines are basically the waste product from limestone quarries, and it's in the consistency, particle size of sand. So it's actually pieces of lime, and it just combines so much better with the lime, the Type S lime, and you get a much better finish. So if you can find the limestone fines, that's great. Otherwise, the alternative is to use a typical masonry sand that you would use for most plasters. So you have the lime, you have the aggregate, and then you can add pigments to it. So its base color is white. It could be gray, sometimes base color, depending on the aggregate, but generally a very light color. So you can add any kind of pigments in there, creating pretty much whatever color you want. When they dry, they do tend to be lighter, just keep that in mind. So the pigment, if it's very dark, maybe may turn out a bit lighter in the end when it's dry. So after the pigments, you have the olive oil soap. These can be bought online pretty easily. And you have to have the polishing stone, 1 stone per person, obviously. Good to get a lot of people on this kind of job because it takes a lot of time polishing. A little tile like this could take you an hour, depending on how well practiced you are, and depending on how polished and shiny you want it. And here's a close-up of these Tadelakt samples here. So you can sort of see that shine to it. And it's very smooth surface. And these cracks, you don't want cracks like this if you're doing a shower or any kind of tub, because that will compromise your cob below. But normally you don't have cracks, and it looks like this. So it's totally waterproof and a very smooth surface. And this was just a glob of cob and covered in Tadelakt. So you get a really nice finish with that. And the polishing stones. Look for a good polishing stone. And this one has a really nice flat surface on it. Fits well in the hand and is pretty comfortable to do the polishing with. And you just do little circular movements. And so here is one brand of this olive oil soap. This is a really good brand. I recommend. It's the Marius Fabre. Not sure. Haven't taken French in a long time. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but you can find this online, and I think it's about $25 for this tub, and this tub will last you a long time. You could do a whole lot of Tadelakt with this amount. So it's a good little investment there.